Greetings out there in YouTube land. This is Morris Man. And as always, I thank you guys for coming to my channel. I'm going to, I guess, do a kind of a light-hearted video because I recently did a video, I think yesterday. I think it was an interesting comment. And in that video, I mentioned one of my dear friends when he was single still, because he's been married now for about 15 years, got 3 kids. And he shared some of the stories, some of his dating stories. And he contacted me and said, man, I totally forgot about that, man. And then we started reminiscing about our single days and the experiences that we had before we found the one. Because I mentioned in the video yesterday, you got to sometimes go through 100 people to find the one. And that journey usually is not a pleasant one. You know, you meet all kinds of crazy people, you know, until you find the one. And then, you know, you're done. So we were talking about some of the stories that we would share with each other when we were in that process of finding the one. And they were quite interesting. And I kind of wrote down 5 of them. And 2 of them are from my experience, and then the rest are from other people's. So I'm going to go with my first 2. You know, the first 2, which is mine. I think I had to been about 18 years old. I went out to a club, and I met this lady, young lady, very pleasant. We had a wonderful time. We exchanged numbers. And then I think I called her the next day, and we were talking, and she said, I'm going to have to share something with you, you know, before we even kind of get started with this. And she said, I thought you knew. I'm like, well, what is this about? So she said, when we were dancing, you know, slow dancing, I put my arm around her, and she kind of giggled. And she told me she imagined or thought that I knew. And what she meant was she was pregnant. I think she might have been maybe 5, 6 months. She really wasn't showing. So I said, no, I didn't. And I made my mind up right then, because I've always been attention to foresight. You know, it's like, is this going to work in the future? You know, so if it's not, let's shut this down right now. So we became good friends because I think I expressed, I'm like, I'm glad you told me that, because, you know, you about to have another man's baby. You know, so I'm like, so where does that leave us? You know, if I get serious with you, I got another man's baby that I'm looking after. And I'm like, in a perfect world, regardless if you're together with these people or not, you should be taking care of your kids, okay? Come get your son on the weekends, or split the days out of the week to take care of him. And unfortunately, we live in an era now where when the man leaves, he leaves and never comes back. And in some cases, when the woman leaves, she leaves and never come back. You know, so I'm like, we became good friends. I'm like, we hung out for like a year or so, and it was just that. We were friends, you know, while we were still pursuing others, you know, the one. But I'm like, it's just unfortunate that right out the gate for a woman, that she has a man's baby, and they're not even together before the baby is born. You know, it's like, I don't get that one, because I'm like, when you're in love, you stay in love and you stay around. You don't run and leave, because if you run and leave and hide, you wasn't in love, you know? And that's all the more reason to be very cautious and take precautionary measures to keep from having babies with people you're not going to marry, or they not even have a serious relationship with, because that takes you through your entire life, that you're taking care of a child until, a lot of times, till you die. You know, it don't stop at 18, you know? So I had the foresight to say, hey, if I get serious about you, you already got another man baby in tow. I can't do that. No, I can't do that. So the second one was, and this is mine too, and this was kind of a scary one. I had just got, you know, employed at a jewel food store, got my own phone, you know, living at home, got my own phone, feeling a little sense of independence, and had an answering machine, you know, the old ones that you plug into the phone. And again, I met a woman out at a party. We exchanged numbers. I think we had no more than 2 conversations. And then I got a call from my lead vocalist in the band I was in at the time, female. And she said, I got the strangest call today. I'm like, well, what's that? She said, I got a call from a lady asking me about you and what was the relationship between you and I. And she quickly told her, we just band members. And we were. It was nothing fooling around because I don't believe in that sleeping with people in the band nonsense, you know. And she told me this, and it blew me away. She said, did you just get a new answering machine? And again, this is when answering machines first came out. I said, yeah, how did you know? She said, did you change the code on retrieving your messages? I'm like, huh? And she asked me again. I'm like, no. She said, this is what happened. And most men don't pay attention to this. Back in the day when those old answer machines were out, there was a default code, which was 0000. And they tell you in the instructions, change your code to your personal code. And most of us even bother to read that, or it's like, oh, I ain't changing that. So that means that if you got a new answer machine at that time and you had the default code and you didn't change it, anybody can call and retrieve your messages using the default code 0000. She said, yeah, because women do that all the time. You know, that's how they catch their boyfriends. I'm like, I think that's something. I'm like, thanks for telling me that. So I immediately changed my code and changed my number because I'm like, I just had 2 conversations with this person. We never seen each other outside of the first time we met. We were talking about getting together perhaps on the weekend and going to a movie. So I realized this is not the person to be messing with because it's different when you've already consummated your relationship. You know, you've already been intimate. So then the dynamics do change. But when it's somebody that you have not been intimate with yet and haven't even thinking about that or talking about that, and they already doing this kind of stuff, you know, don't trust you and checking your messages like they your girlfriend or your man, leave them people alone. Because if you think it's bad now, and it is bad at the beginning, it's going to get worse down the line because the behavior is going to continue. It's going to get worse. So I quickly changed my code and I changed my number and never spoke to that woman again. Because again, it's foresight for me. I'm like, if this person is clowning now and we haven't been intimate, just imagine when we become intimate and how she's going to be clowning even more. You know, you can't go there without anybody checking you. Where you going to? I'm following you and all that kind of stuff. Like, no, leave that alone. You know, so like I said, I've had the foresight to say, this is probably what's going to happen down the line, and it ain't something I want to happen, so leave that alone. You know, so here's another one. When I had got my first apartment and was single, there was a guy that lived above me that was the landlord's son. And this guy was just a straight up whore. A woman just walking down the street. Hey, girl, how you doing? He's somewhere at the store. Hey, what's up, girl? You know, there's some men that just super hounds. It's like anything the guy slipped between their legs and walking, they gonna try to get in there. You know, it's like every woman. It's like, had a guy like that at Jules, and he ended up getting fired because he was just so distracted with trying to pull all these women that's just coming to buy groceries, and they started complaining to the manager. And they ended up firing him. It's like, dude, you know, this ain't a disco. You come here and you work and you leave people alone. You want to communicate with them on a professional level as far as the business at hand, not what's your name and you look good in them jeans. So they ended up getting rid of him. And I understand that, you know, and this guy was just like that guy. Every woman the women that come to the building, hey, girl, what's your name? And the guy that lived next door to me, he's like, yeah, he trying to hit on my niece. And I had to tell him, dude, leave her alone. So with this guy, again, super whore. And I remember one day, because I would see all these women coming in and out the apartment. And I'm like, dude, your world's going to collide at some point in time. You can't continue to do this and not think you're not going to get caught. So we mentioned that because in passing, I chat with him. And he's like, oh, my girlfriend coming from out of town and she got a girlfriend. I could hook you up. No, thank you. For 2 reasons, no. One, we don't share the same kind of women. I mean, we don't have the same type of taste in women. I don't like fast, slutty women. You know, I don't. And he liked fast, slutty women. I'm like, no. And anyway, I'm engaged. I'm good, dude. But thanks for the invitation or the invite. No, thank you. So I remember coming home one night after a gig. and the firemen were there. I'm like, oh shit. And the building partially was on fire. The fire started in his apartment because I lived in the basement. He lived on the first floor. And the worlds collided. Some woman found out about the other woman or the other women. So the lady came over when he wasn't there. He's at work, pushed up the window, and threw a Molotov cocktail in. Because my older neighbor, the guy I just told you about who had a niece he was trying to hit on, he said he seen them. He said he thought they were men talking to him, on the ground level while he was in the apartment, kind of looking out the window. That's what he thought. Then he said he left the window, came back, and he came back and looked out there. It was actually two women who he thought were men. He said, I came back, they were gone. I seen flames coming out of the building. He said, oh shit. So he called the fire department. And I had a lot of water damage. I think I had about maybe $1,000 worth of damage, which the landlord did square up with me when, the insurance money came in. And after that, I left because I was like, okay, man, I'm not trying to come on to a blazing inferno. Thank God that none of my music equipment got damaged. Just some of my clothes and some other things got smoke damaged that I couldn't use anymore. But the lesson there is, don't go messing around with all these people and messing over their feelings unless you have an understanding, which is extremely rare, that you tell these people, it's me and I see several other people. Are you okay with that? Yeah, we okay with that. That shit is just not going to happen, and I'm sure he lied to these women and gave them false hope about getting together on a serious relationship tip. And I'm like, I'm glad I wasn't there that day because I would have been asleep. Most likely, because normally after I get off my corporate job, I come home, cook, and watch the TV and go to bed. But that night I had a gig, so I left out, and when I came back, it was late. So I'm like, I'm glad that I wasn't there, because who knows, that fire could have got out of control and killed us, all because of this idiot, so concerned about what's dangling between his legs instead of being respectful and honest with people, So that was a pretty interesting story. It's like, man, you actually burnt me out of my apartment. I ended up having to move. So here's another one. This was pretty interesting. A woman shared this with me. She said she met this guy. I don't know where she met him at. So, and she had the foresight to do this. And I respect women that do this, because some women don't have a clue about this. It's like, okay, we're in the stages of trying to get to know each other, and let's not put any unnecessary pressure on us. And what I mean by that is, men are pressured to spend a lot of money, whether it's the first date or whatever, and women are pressured to say, okay, well, since he spent all that money, and if he make a move tonight, I'm going to go ahead and give him the green light because he spent that money. That pressure should not be on neither one of the people. They shouldn't. So she had the foresight to say that, or think like that. She said, you know what, let's just go have coffee. The first time we get together, let's just go have coffee. He's like, cool. And the bill came to about $6. And then he was searching through his wallet. He's like, oh, I left my wallet at home. And I was like, wow, that's kind of funny that men forget their wallet. I've never forgot my wallet when I walked out the house in my entire life, That's one thing I keep with me when I walk out that house, my wallet and my keys. Those are two things I check before I walk out that door and lock it. She's like, not a big deal. She said, I'll take care of it. He said, no, I'll pay you back. She's like, don't worry about it. So she said 2 days later, he showed up at her job. And he said, I got the money. She said, I told you, it's not a big deal. And he gave her $3. Now, some people caught that. Some people didn't. The bill was $6. He gave her $3. So basically, in essence, he just paid for him and not both. And she just laughed and blew it off. I was like, that's cool. Because, you got to have that kind of positive attitude. Because some people would have kind of got salty. He didn't even take me out on it today. And then he didn't pay for it, pay my way. So needless to say, that didn't go anywhere. Because, again, sometimes men are pressured, even when they don't have any money, and it's like, because, again, the society pressures men to show up with the wallet, and they pressure women to show up with, looking good and enticing and in tight clothes. So the last one is, and this one was pretty interesting because the lady, when she shared this story with me, she said, what do you think? What are your thoughts? I said, you know what? I'm gonna be honest with you. You both were at fault, not just him, but you too. And this is just the opposite of the coffee story. She said she went, talking to some guy on the phone. Then they went out to go out to dinner, set up a date, and I guess he was trying to play Black Trump. He went to a fancy restaurant. Laid out course meal, champagne at the end, and she was just enjoying herself. And then she said near the end of the date or the dinner, he kind of made a move, leaned over to try to kiss her. She's like, what the? And he got pissed. And then she said, okay, I don't think it's a good idea to ride in the car with this guy. So she said that she was walking to the bus stop. He was driving alongside of her, throwing out all type of expletives. And she said, what do you think? I said, well, he's definitely wrong for doing what he did. But I look at it this way. He set the bar this high the first day. And most men, not all, expect something at the end. Now, I'm not agreeing or saying that that's right and that's the right way to think, because I don't. But that's kind of been the dating cycle, So instead of her saying, like the other lady said, well, you know what, this is our first night out. We're not even sure we're compatible. So let's just scale it down, have coffee or just a light meal and see where it goes. Instead of the bar set this high automatically, instead of her asking him to lower it down so there'd be no pressure on him to spend that kind of money, no pressure on her at the end of the night. I'm going to have to give up something, And I guess that's kind of been the cat and mouse dating game for ages. And hopefully it has changed because, like I said, that was back when I was a single guy. And things do change, and hopefully things have changed to say, you know what, let's just get together, no pressure, lower the bar, see if this goes anywhere. Then the second and third date, we kind of kick it up. Instead of, again, men are pressured to set out all this money, and women are expected to set out, and it's like, it shouldn't be that way. Just two people get together on a low scale date and just see where it goes. But we are both guilty of that, men and women, and it's like we both got to come to an agreement to say, hey, let's just take it slow, Let's build this, let's build the house. And if the house foundation is strong enough, we can stay in that house and not worry about the house collapsing, But I thought I would just share some of those stories with you guys because, like I said, my friend, we reminisced about those horror dating stories and the pursuit of trying to find the one and what it took to find the one where okay, I'm done here. I ain't got to do no more of this. I'm focused on this. So until next time, take care and thanks for watching.